Have you ever wondered how do you choose the right answer from a set of options given? Especially if it involves listening, how do you track the answers? In today's video, I'm trying to solve that very problem that many IELTS candidates have when it comes to IELTS listening, solving multiple choice questions. Because you're given a number of options, sometimes the list could be very long, involving 10 to 15 items listed. And the matter that you have to choose maybe one right answer or a couple of other right answers becomes challenging for many students. So through this video, let's try and decode IELTS listening, solving multiple choice questions. Here on screen, we have a sample question. You can see that the title says Spa Day. We need to solve questions 1 to 3. The instruction says choose 3 letters, which means we have to choose 3 right answers from the list given here. And against the question numbers 1, 2, 3, we have to write down the right letter A to H. Also, you have the question given. And what does the question say? What 3 items are you recommended to take with you to the spa? To take with you to the spa. And we have a list of items given here, right? You can see A says money, B slippers, C fruit, D towel, E ticket, F watch, G makeup, and H swimming costume. So it's very obvious that you're going to listen to maybe a conversation, or it could be a monologue where a person is giving basic instructions to be followed in the spa. So, one thing you have to be careful about multiple choice questions is that probably out of the items listed here, you might listen to the names of most of these in the audio. But we have to focus on the question. A couple of things we need to make note of. One, how many right answers should we choose? In this case, we know we have to choose 3. Number 2. What should we focus on? Here it says items you are recommended, okay, which means somebody gives as a suggestion or a recommendation to take with you, and that means we have to carry it ourselves. Now, why is it important to identify these key terms? Because sometimes in a spa you are given certain things as a complementary item. For instance, you might be given fruit or fruits as a complementary item in the spa. But here we have to select answers or select items that a customer has to carry along with them to the spa. So you need to identify the key terms here. And as we listen to the audio, the instructions in the audio, like I said, we might listen to most of these words. Okay, you can keep eliminating words that do not answer the question. For instance, sometimes they might say a watch, and they might pause and say that is a big no, which means you cannot carry the watch to the spa. And just because you listen to the word watch, do not tick that as the right answer. So you choose 3 options by listening to the audio clip. And remember, these options will not be in the order, which means you might not listen to money first. You know, it might begin with the watch. It might then go to makeup, then slippers, a swimming costume, and probably towards the end, it might talk about money. So do not expect for you to listen to the options in the same order, which means we should be good with 2 things. 1, our reading skills. We should be able to quickly read through the items. 2, we should also be very sharp with our ears. That is, we should be able to focus and pay attention to the audio clip. Let's have a look at another sample. Here it says Matthew's Island holidays. And you can see there are 3 questions, 11, 12 and 13. So, because there is no other additional instruction given here, it simply means that you have to choose only one right answer per question. For instance, the first question here, question number 11 says, according to the speaker, the company, and one of these options will complete that sentence. Is it the company has been in business for longer than most of its competitors, or the company arranges holidays to more destinations than its competitors, or is it the company has more customers than its competitors? This we can identify only when we listen to the audio clip. Remember, we cannot apply a grammar rule here and see which grammatically matches the question. No. Grammatically, all of the options will be perfect, which means if you don't listen to the audio and you try to match it, there is, I would say, very, very small possibility that you get the right answer, because you would just be playing based on luck, and that doesn't work for your multiple choice questions. So be prepared for these 2 types of questions. One, we are asked to select 2 or 3 options from the list given. 2, where you have to choose only one right answer from the list of options given. So hope you have an understanding of the 2 types of questions to expect. Let's move forward. Now, I'm going to give you a cheat sheet that you can keep with you. How is this cheat sheet going to help you? Well, the points that I've listed on this cheat sheet will take you places when it comes to solving multiple choice questions. So these are techniques you can keep with you handy every time you solve a multiple choice question. So let's find out what are those top things you can keep close to you in a cheat sheet for multiple choice questions. The first one, make note of the number of right answers you need to select. So, should you select just one right answer or more than one right answers? So make sure you note it, which means you underline it or draw a box around the instruction so that you're aware of the number of options to choose. Second, questions come in the order, of course, like we saw 11, 12, 13, but the answer options will not be in the order. So the conversation follows the same order and structure of the questions given. But within that, the answers that you would be listening to or the words used in those options will come in jumbled order. So be prepared for that and do not select the first option you hear. Why? Look at number 3. Ensure that the option you choose answers the question. Do not select an answer just because you heard it in the audio clip. Does it actually answer the question? For instance, quickly recall the first example we saw. What is recommended for you to take to the spa? Now, if they list out things you should not carry, that cannot be chosen as the answer, because the question asks you in specific about the things that you should be carrying along and not the things that you shouldn't be taking along. Number 4. Most often, you will hear the keywords used in the answer options in the audio. So do not choose an answer just by matching the keywords. If you listen to a lot of these keywords, don't think, oh, that's the right answer, let me choose. We need to focus on the meaning that is conveyed by the answer option. So do not just look at 1 or 2 words in the option, but read the sentence on the whole and then decide whether it answers the question or not. Number 5, look for overall meaning and what answers the question asked. So just don't focus on keywords, match them and choose that as the answer. Make sure you understand the overall meaning conveyed. And number 6, look out for words like but, however. These are just two options I've given here. But what I'm trying to say is beware of these kinds of words. What do these words say, or what do these words do? These could mean that the idea conveyed so far will change. For instance, I say something like, crows are the most intelligent birds, and then you decide, okay, the most intelligent out of the list of birds is a crow. But immediately after, if it says but, which means wait, the crow is not the right answer, so you listen further. It might say something like, but that was believed until the research was done on kiwis, and now we know that kiwis are the most intelligent. So then our right answer becomes kiwi and not crow. So look out for words that convey a contradiction, but, however. Okay, so these are my top cheat sheet tips for you to keep with you while solving multiple choice questions. Having said this, let's try out a sample. You're going to listen to conversation, so there'll be two people speaking, and it's about job in the fashion industry. So there are questions 1 to 6 that I'll be showing you on screen, and as we listen to the audio, I will be making marks. These are marks, points, notes that you can do while you solve your multiple choice questions as well. For instance, if I listen to a word, I might underline it. And if I feel that is not the right answer, I might cross it out. That is eliminating the option so that I'm left with fewer options to choose from. So let's try and solve that.
First, you have some time to look at questions. Now listen carefully and answer questions.
Hi Chantal, what did you think of the talk then?
Hi Hugo. I thought it was good once I'd moved seats.
Oh, were the people beside you chatting or something?
It wasn't that. I went early so that I'd get a seat and not have to stand. But then this guy sat right in front of me and he was so tall.
It's hard to see through people's heads, isn't it?
Impossible. Anyway, to answer your question, I thought it was really interesting, especially what the speaker said about the job market.
Me too. I mean, we know we're going into a really competitive field, so it's obvious that we may struggle to get work.
That's right. And we know we can't all have that dream job.
Yeah, but it looks like there's a whole range of areas of work that we hadn't even thought of, like fashion journalism, for instance.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting so many career options.
Overall, she had quite a strong message, didn't she?
She did. She kept saying things like, I know you all think this, but... And then she'd tell us how it really is.
Perhaps she thinks students are a bit narrow-minded about the industry.
It was a bit harsh, though. We know it's a tough industry.
Yeah, and we're only first years after all. We've got a lot to learn.
Exactly. Do you think our secondary school education should have been more career-focused?
Well, we had numerous talks on careers, which was good, but none of them were very inspiring. They could have asked more people like today's speaker to talk to us.
I agree. We were told about lots of different careers, just when we needed to be, but not by the experts who really know stuff.
So, did today's talk influence your thoughts on what career you'd like to take up in the future?
Well, I promised myself that I'd go through this course and keep an open mind till the end.
But I think it's better to pick an area of the industry now and then aim to get better and better at it.
Well, I think we'll just have to differ on that issue.
One thing's for certain, though. From what she said, we'll be unpaid assistants in the industry for quite a long time. I'm prepared for that. Aren't you?
Actually, I'm not going to accept that view.
Really? But she knows it's the case, and everyone else says the same.
That doesn't mean it has to be true for me.
Okay. Well, I hope you're right.
Alright, so we've just solved 6 questions based on the bit of conversation that we heard. And if you've noticed, it was easy to follow from one question to the other. So tracking is not a big deal, but you have to focus on the keywords here and don't stay stuck at a particular question for too long. Here, as I heard the next word, I kept ticking so that I knew when I was moving from one question to the other. If you noticed, there were some keywords I had already underlined or I drew boxes for during the preparation time. So this is exactly what you need to do when you're given a few seconds time to go through the question. Look for keywords like, I know if it's a conversation, things that they agree on, things that they disagree, that they criticize, their opinion, that they liked or disliked, and so on. Because in the conversation, you might listen to things that they were both yes about, and maybe one person was yes and the other person was no about. So there were differences or disagreements. Okay, so based on this, let's find out what the answers were. I'm going to try and explain it to you. The first one, what problem did Chantal have at the start of the talk? Now if you noticed, she was talking about, like the tape script is given to you here, it was good once I moved seats. So she had some problem before that. So Hugo says, were the people beside you chatting or something? So we have this option about talking, students next to her, but then she says it wasn't, which means we can eliminate option C. And then she says, I went early so that I'd get a seat. So unable to find an empty seat is not a possibility because she had been there early. So we can negate or eliminate option B. Then she said, but then this guy sat in front of me and he was so tall. So blocked, view of the speaker was blocked. Now remember, whatever words you listen to in the audio, the exact same words will not appear in the question. We have to be prepared for what is called as synonyms or paraphrasing. So if you wait to listen to the same word, tall guy, you're never going to listen to it. But we have to look at the implied meaning. So we need to go beyond, above and beyond just the words matching and look for the meaning that is conveyed. So the right answer for question number 1 is A. Now moving on, question number 2. What were Hugo and Chantal surprised to hear about the job market? Okay, and here it says, we knew we are going into a really competitive field, so it's obvious that we may have to struggle to get work. So it has become more competitive? No, because they already knew there was competition in the field. That's right. Okay, and we know we can't all have that dream job. Okay, so they are very sure about things being difficult. Yeah, but it looks like there's a whole range of areas of work that we hadn't even thought of. We had not realized. Whole range of areas of work, more variety, like fashion journalism and so on. Yeah, I wasn't expecting. Expecting is a key word for surprise to hear. I wasn't expecting that. So the right answer for question number 2 is option B. Moving ahead, question number 3. Hugo and Chantal agree that the speaker's message was, so this is something that they both agree on. Okay, if there is a difference in opinion, that is not what you need to choose. Overall, she had a strong message. She did. She kept saying things like, I know you all think this, and then she tell us how it really is. Okay, So about being hard for them to follow, not really, because very clearly she's saying what they expect and what it really is. Perhaps she thinks students are a bit narrow-minded about the industry. About the industry, critical, no, she's speaking about the industry, but not about being critical about the industry. So we can eliminate option C as well. Then what's the answer? It says, it was a bit harsh though. We know it's a tough industry. We're only first years after all. We've got a lot to learn. So by listening to the word harsh, do not connect it to the word hard and choose that as a right answer, because it says hard for them to follow. It was easy. They understood everything that was being conveyed, right? The message was not difficult to follow. So do not match it just by a word. So the right answer option here is option A. Moving on to the next. 4. What do Hugo and Chantal criticize about their school careers advice? It says, should have been more career focused, numerous talks on careers, okay? So how much advice, when they received it, or who gave the advice? None of them were very inspiring. They could have asked more people like today's speaker to talk to us. I agree, we were told about a lot of different careers, but not by the experts. So they are focusing on this keyword, that is who. So the right answer option is C. Moving on to question 5. Discussing their future, Hugo and Chantal disagree on, not something that they agree on. What did they disagree? I promise. So Chantal says, I promised myself that I'd go through this course and keep an open mind till the end. Hugo says, but I think it's better to pick an area of the industry now, aim to get better at it. Best career option in the fashion. Pick an area that is best now. And then Chantal says, well, I think we'll just have to differ. Differ. That's our key word. Disagree. Which means Hugo said A, but Chantal doesn't feel so. So that's the point that they disagree on. So the answer option is A. Moving on to the last question. How does Hugo feel about being an unpaid assistant? We heard the word unpaid assistant, so it was easy to move from 5 to 6. It says, for things for certain though, from what she said, we'll be unpaid assistants in the industry for quite a long time. I'm prepared for that, aren't you? So Hugo says, I'm prepared for that, which means he is realistic about the practice. That is a practice. Being unpaid is a practice. Really? So Chantal says, actually, I'm not going to accept that view. He says, really? But she knows it's the case and everyone says the same. That doesn't mean it has to be true for me. Oh, I hope you're right. So that means Hugo is realistic. He's ready to accept what is going on, but Chantal feels that it will be different for her. So these are the explanations for the answers that we've chosen. I hope the cheat sheet that I've discussed and this technique that I've just showed you will help you in your preparations for multiple choice questions. Thank you and good luck with your IELTS listening practice.
MedCity International Academy. Trusted hands forever.